Hey everyone, for those of you that don't know us, my name is David.
And I'm Ro.
And we are full-time RVers, and we are very rarely connected to electrical hookups. We have a full integrated RV solar system that powers our entire lives. And most of you are, have at least seen a setup like that before and are pretty aware of it. But there is another option out there for those of you that don't quite think you need the integrated solar system, and that is a portable power station.
Now, I would love to tout that I know enough about this subject to really talk about it with all of you, but David is actually the one that knows everything about this portable power station, so I'm going to be the camera woman today.
So first, let's talk about what I meant earlier when I said an integrated solar system in an RV. And what that is you've got the rooftop solar array wired into a solar charge controller that then charges a battery bank, and then you also have an inverter charger set up to supply power to all of the AC appliances inside of the RV. And this also includes all of the wires that have to run between the components and throughout the RV, as well as, you've got fuses that need to be taken into consideration, as well as circuit breakers and or kill switches that you can cut power to certain parts of the solar system if you need to. For instance, if you would have a cutoff switch in between the solar panels and the charge controller in case you needed to do any maintenance to or any repairs to the solar array additions or removing solar panels. Integrated solar systems are pretty complex. Like I said, you've got all these components, you've got all the wires that need to run between them, and the fuses and circuit breakers, but they are also really simple once they're installed, in that you basically don't have to worry about it. You just turn your inverter on when you want to power AC appliances, and then you shut it off when you don't. And the solar panels are mounted to the roof of your trailer, so there's no, moving panels around. There's no having to put anything away. Everything is just mounted in place, and it does its job. There's another option out there, however, for those of you that, for whatever reason, don't want the whole integrated RV solar system, and that is a portable power station like this one. What I've got here is the Bluetti EB240, and this thing is actually really cool. I've never had a portable power station like this in front of me until now. And this is an all-in-one unit. It's got everything in it except for solar panels. So what that means is it has a 166 amp hour or a 2400 watt hour lithium ion battery, an MPPT solar charge controller, and a pure sine wave inverter, all packed into this portable package. Now there are links in the video description below to the Bluetti EB240 portable power station, as well as all of the solar components that we have installed onto our RV, just in case you want to check those out for yourself. Now, like I said, this thing is pretty slick, and it's because it has up on the front here an LCD display that tells you all of the information that you need to know about the unit. You can see how much charge it has left, when you're charging it, how much power is going in, and you can also, turn on the DC charge ports up on the front here. You've got 5 volt, 3 amp USB ports up front here, as well as a cigarette lighter style DC charging port. And then you also have a DC charging input right here, which is what you use to power the unit. And this thing comes with an AC power adapter, so you can plug it into a regular wall socket to charge it, or you can also use the included MC4 connectors to plug it into a solar panel or a solar array to charge this with solar, which is what we're going to be doing. And then on the back side, you have 2 120 volt AC sockets that you use to, power whatever AC appliances you may want to. Now, as far as portable power stations go, if you decide that this is the route you want to take, something like the EB240 from Bluetti is exactly what you want to go with. And that's for multiple reasons. First off, inside of it has a lithium-ion battery. And right now, lithium is the best battery chemistry out there. You know, it beats nickel, cadmium, and lead acid hands down. And then also, it has a pure sine wave inverter in it. And if you're unfamiliar with what that means, if you want to be powering sensitive modern day electronics like laptops, computers, then you really need to have a pure sine wave inverter, because that will provide clean power. The other side, you know, cheaper portable power stations may have what's called a modified sine wave inverter in it. And those are really only useful for like very primitive electronics, like maybe a toaster oven or something similar to that. And then finally, this has an MPPT solar charge controller inside of it. And MPPT charge controllers are extremely efficient and will charge up batteries much faster than, say, a PWM solar charge controller. So really, this has all of the best components inside of it for, you know, portable power stations. So what are the pros and cons of a portable power station? Well, the first pro is the most obvious, and that is all of those components are all in one. It's packed away into this really neat package, and it's got a handle, so you can take this thing anywhere you want to, and it's all there. The second pro sort of goes along with what I just said. You know, it's an all-in-one unit, so you don't have to mess around with installation. You know, you just buy it, there it is. And then the final pro is cost. You know, I don't know how Bluetti did it, but this thing is very inexpensive considering all of the components that are inside of it. I mean, this thing costs $1,699, and you know, if you were to just buy lithium batteries that have the same capacity as the batteries inside of this, you're gonna spend that much on the batteries alone, let alone the fact that this thing has an MPPT solar charge controller and a pure sine wave inverter inside of it, all packed away into this very neat, you know, suitcase design. You know, it's got the outlets in it, as well as all of the intelligence to control the charging and discharging of the batteries. I mean, the bang for the buck of this thing is extremely impressive. Now, there are a few cons to having a portable power station like this, and the first one is that you can't change this. You know, if you decide in the future that, you know, maybe you want a larger inverter, or maybe you want larger battery capacity, you can't change the internal components in this thing. So, you know, what you buy is what you have. And so there isn't much flexibility there. Another con is that you're limited by the amount of outlets that this thing has. You know, like I said, you've got the 2 AC outlets on the back and the 4 DC outlets on the front. And if you decide that, you know, you need more, you would like to power more devices than the outlets that are available, you know, you're kind of sunk on that regard. And then the final con that I can think of is just the fact that you are actually going to have to move this thing as you use it and then want to charge it. You know, for us, when we're using this, it needs to be inside of the trailer near whatever appliance we want this to be powering, like say our laptop. It's got to be like on the ground, fairly close to the laptop so that it can power it. And then when we want to then charge this thing, we have to actually physically take it outside, plug it into a solar panel, and then charge it that way. So, you know, it's not like a set it and forget it type of situation. And speaking of charging, this is how we have chosen to charge up our EB240. We just bought a flexible 160 watt solar panel off of Amazon for only about $120. And, you know, it's got MC4 connectors already on it, and we can plug those directly into the MC4 connectors that Bluetti provided with this unit. And that's it. We just take this thing outside, plug it into the solar panel, set the panel on the ground, and let the sun do the charging for us. So then the pros and cons of an integrated RV solar system are sort of the opposite of a portable power station. And one of the main pros of an integrated RV solar system is that once it's installed, you don't really have to worry about anything. You know, you've got your rooftop solar array that's just constantly charging the RV during the day, or the batteries, that is. And, you know, you've got the inverter, the battery bank, everything is mounted in place and you don't have to move things around whenever you want to use them. The next thing is that everything in your RV will be powered by your battery bank if you so choose to set it up that way. You know, when our inverter is on, that means every AC appliance in our RV can be powered by the inverter. I'm talking our refrigerator, our air conditioner up here, every 120 volt outlet, wall outlet is powered by the inverter as well. So literally everything in our RV can be powered through our batteries. And then also, if you decide that, your original installation doesn't quite fit your lifestyle anymore because, things change, you can change the components in your RV solar setup individually. For instance, we started with a PWM solar controller and then we realized an MPPT was much better. So we swapped out that component. And then, we started with 3 160 watt panels up on top of our roof and we found out that's not enough. So we added another panel on top. And, if we wanted to add another lithium battery to our battery bank in our RV, we could do that as well. So with an integrated RV solar system, you can mix and match, you can change things at will if you find out that your electrical needs for whatever reason have changed. The cons, however, to a system like this is, the main one is that they're pretty complex and it's difficult to install onto your RV. So typically people need to hire professionals to do the install for them, and that can be really expensive. I've heard around $1,000 to install, a full solar system with rooftop array, inverter charger, charge controller, and a battery bank. So, that can be pretty expensive. Another con is the space requirement. All these individual components just take up so much more space than one of these right here. They've packed all of those components into such a nice, easy, portable package. You're gonna have to find a place to put all of these components in your RV. Half of the pass-through storage compartment on our travel trailer is taken up just by the solar components alone. And of course, that's not counting the solar panels up on our roof. Another con is that it can be kind of difficult to maintain an RV solar system. You've got wires running everywhere. You have so many components, and say like you have a rat that chews through one of the wires that runs under your RV connecting some components. It can be difficult to diagnose that issue because you've got to start at the beginning and go all the way along the wire run to try and find if there's a broken wire or if there's a loose connection somewhere. We've had issues like this. You're driving your RV down the road, this thing's shaking like crazy, and we've actually had some of our connections come loose, and it was, it can be pretty hard to find out what the issue is. And then the final con is that full integrated systems like what we have on RV are expensive. They just are. Like I said, the batteries alone for, to meet the same capacity as the portable power station behind me, the EB240, is, just as expensive as this unit itself. And then, an inverter charger, it can run you, like a 1,000 watt inverter charger can run you around $1,000, and an MPPT charge controller can run around $500 as well. And all these things add up. The amount of wiring you need for everything can be pretty expensive. The fuses, the circuit breakers, everything combined adds up to quite a lot. Now, I'll tell you the numbers on our RV solar system, and keep in mind that it is way more capable than this power station. And what I mean by that is all of the components that we have on our trailer are much larger than what is inside of the EB240. So keep that in mind when I tell you the cost, because it's not exactly analogous for that reason. But our whole solar system cost us about $8,400. And that's a lot of money. That's a big chunk of money for a lot of people. So now there's the question of, which one should you get? Should you go with a complex, full-on, integrated RV solar system that's going to power the entire rig? Or should you go with an all-in-one, nice and simple, sleek portable power station? And my recommendation, and you can take it with a grain of salt if you would like. However, know that I've been living off of solar in our RV for over 4 years now. So I feel like I've got a pretty good idea on this. And my recommendation would be that if you're going to be a full-time RVer, or if you are going to be powering, you want to power just about everything in your RV off of your solar, then you really should go with the full system. Get rooftop solar panels, get a nice big battery bank. Lithium iron phosphate is my recommendation. An MPPT charge controller, and probably at least a 500 watt pure sine wave inverter charger. And the reason I say that is because if you're going to be living in your RV, you don't really want to mess around with anything. You want the system to be really easy to use. You just want to be able to push a single button, the inverter turns on, and your whole RV is now energized. You can use all of your AC, 120 volt wall outlets. You can run your refrigerator off of your batteries. It's just, once it's installed, it's pretty easy. However, like I said, installation is probably the hardest part of it. It's really complex to do on your own, and if you pay someone to do it, it can be pretty expensive. But if you're going to be using it every single day, you really just want to bite the bullet, get it done, and then from there on out, it should be pretty easy. I would recommend the portable power station, though, to anyone who isn't going to be relying on solar to power their RV every single day. So if you're a full-time RVer that is, typically stays in RV parks with electrical hookups, but you might find yourself boondocking every now and then. And when you are boondocking, you don't have massive electrical requirements. Like maybe you want to recharge your cell phone, you want to run a laptop computer every now and then a portable power station is an excellent way to go. And then of course, the weekend RVer, the typical RVer, the vast majority of RVers that, might find themselves boondocking for a weekend, just for a few days. They don't have massive electrical requirements, but would still like to be able to, power some electrical devices with solar. The portable power station is an excellent path to go for the typical RVer. You can charge the power station up at home before you go. And then when you get to your site, you can be, discharging it to power whatever electrical devices you may want to. And if you find out that you need to charge it while on site too, you can get a solar panel or two and charge it up that way when you're camping as well. And then those of you that have really small RVs as well, and you might just not have enough room for all of the solar components and batteries. You need something that can be like packed away in a very small spot. Then a portable power station like this is an excellent idea as well. So that has been the difference between a full-fledged RV solar system and a portable power station. I really hope this video was helpful to those of you that want to get solar for your RV, but are still debating on what option is best for you. And this is kind of funny because we have been wanting to actually add capacity to our battery bank for a while now. And we decided that this Bluetti was a good thing to go with because it was actually cheaper than getting an additional battery for our RV. So now we have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, we can get this thing charged up. We can put it in the truck and take it wherever we want, along with our laptops, especially if we're camping somewhere that is far away from signal. We can just pop this in the truck, drive out, find signal, and then our laptops can be powered for quite a while we just finish up our work.
And you guys, that happens more often than we would care to admit, where we have to drive to signal and work on our laptops in the truck. Before, we just had to go off of whatever battery capacity was in our laptops, but now we can charge our laptops off of this bad boy in the truck and be just fine.
But that's all for this video. Remember that there are links down in the video description below to the Bluetti, as well as many of the solar components that we've mentioned in this video. But that's all, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye! Sweetie girl, You want to say goodbye? Puppy? Huh?
Bye. Say oh.
Sweet Pea, say bye-bye. Brr.
Can you say bye?
Brr.
Say oh.
There we go.
There's the goodbye.
I was wondering if you wanted to say goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
And one more thing, if you're watching this video the day it went out, then Ro and I are currently live streaming on Ro's Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Ronut, and then after she's done live streaming, we're gonna switch over to my Twitch channel, and we'll both be live streaming on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Nowhere. Links are in the video description below for both of our Twitch channels, so come hang out with us. We'll see you later. Bye.